morning. Do you know what your customers think about your product? Or do you want to go deeper and understand better how they behave? By joining this webinar about text analytics, you did the first step into a world of data science. And for sure, at the end of it, you will know what you need to do to use this technology to help you achieve better business results. Hello, everybody, and welcome to webinar Understand Your Customer the Smarter Way. My name is Goran, and I will be your host today. My role in company Poslovna Inteligencija is to help companies to understand data and be more successful. Poslovna Inteligencija is a leading analytics consulting company in Southeastern Europe. We have more than 150 employees, and we are working on projects all over the world. And 20 years ago, we started with the implementation of data warehouse and BI solutions, but today we are more and more involved in state-of-the-art technology on the data science projects. Mentioning data science, it is my great pleasure to welcome my colleague, Ana-Marija Petric. Ana-Marija, you're the star of today's show, so welcome. And tell us please a little bit about you. I know you have a fascinating life story, studying in Oxford, living in the Netherlands, linguistic background.
Yes, thank you, Goran, and hello everybody. Welcome to the webinar on text analytics. Well, yeah, as Goran said, I do have a bit of a strange life story when it comes to doing data science because I studied English and Czech in Zagreb, and then I went to Oxford to study linguistics. And after that, I moved to the Netherlands, where I first started working in digital transformation. I did a lot of automatization. I learned all the programming languages actually on the job. And I started doing data science and advanced analytics and artificial intelligence roughly about 3 years ago in the Netherlands. And a year ago, I came to Croatia. I work in Poslovna Inteligencija as a principal consultant for data science. And obviously, being a linguist, one of my great passions is actually language. So I'm really, really happy to show you some of the ways that technology can help you analyze your text.
And it's great to have you in our team. It's great to have you today in the webinar. And I know you speak Chinese as well.
Well,
correct, right?
Yeah, well, speaking is a little bit of a loose term. I'm still in my second stage of learning Chinese, but I do consider Chinese to be a very relevant language for data science because we obviously trade a lot with China. So
it's great and very interesting. So for today, I would like to start with a story. Recently, my mother had her 69th birthday, and of course, as a good son, I tried to be, I was thinking hard how I can surprise her, So I know that she uses a lot of her smartphone, not only for communication and texting, but also she reads news, searching for ideas, for recipes that she can prepare for her family in the kitchen. And I remember her saying that sometimes she has difficulties because the screen is too small, she cannot read, she cannot put it in a kitchen. So I got the idea to buy her a tablet. And I knew this tablet should be a bit robust. It should have a handle like this one that you are seeing on the screen at the moment. So she can put it vertical when she cooks. So, Ana-Marija, what do you think I did the next after I got this great idea?
Well, I would assume you are a regular person and you just went on Google and looked for some tablets, right?
Yes, you're correct. So I went on Google, I read a lot of reviews, I narrowed down a couple of potential candidates, and in the end, based on the many reviews, customer stories, I made my decision.
So can I ask you, is your mother happy?
Yeah.
Were you successful?
So it's great. So I read a lot of reviews, and this is something that we call today a digital customer journey. And this is very helpful for all of us as individuals, as end users. It helps us to learn about the products, to make decisions. But what if I am a producer? What if I am a manufacturer of this product? If I am marketing manager for some certain area or region. So what does this mean for me? So do I know what do people think about my tablets, about my product? There are hundreds, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands reviews and comments. Can I read them all? So this is my question, which is really taking me into concern.
Yeah, so basically, yes, you can read them, but you will, if you don't use technology to help you, you will actually spend a lot of time doing just this, right?
And that's why we're here. So what if I can automatically analyze all of those unstructured text all around the internet, gather the insights, do the analytics, find out what customers think, and adjust my action. If I can do this, for sure my company and I will be more successful. The only question is, can we do it? How can we do it?
Yes, so we can definitely do it. So what happens in data science, we have all of these tools that help us gather the data, analyze the data, and present it to the marketing departments, to the developers of certain products or offers of certain services. So you can definitely do it.
Yes, and I'm excited to learn how to do it. And let's start with the first step is basically, okay, where can we find the text? Okay, so this is the first thing. If we want to analyze text, we want to learn about opinion of our customers, we need to find the text. So there are a couple of ways where we can find it. Of course, we talked about already, I use it, everybody uses it. So there are customer reviews on various sources, like web shop reviews on Amazon, eBay, on our own web shop, if we are, sales company, on social networks like Twitter, Facebook, Google reviews, many reviews over there. Yeah, do you agree, or there are some other as well?
Yeah, you can gather the data that is available on the internet from various providers, whether they be aggregators of data or social networks. But this is not all, Goran, right? Because obviously you interact with your customers. They write you letters, emails. They put a lot of their information comes through your ticketing service, through your customer care. So you can also leverage this data that comes internally into your company. You can analyze your complaints. You can also analyze the messages that people give you compliments in. You can analyze your repair tickets. And you can also analyze the questions that come into your company from the end consumer. So you have a wealth of data, both external and internal.
Both external. I think this is important to sort out at the beginning. So there are many of text and many of data outside, let's say, on the internet. But there's also many of them incoming from maybe we already have it in our CRMs, in ticketing systems. Maybe we're just not aware, or we are aware, but we know there's tons of it. We cannot analyze it. So this is the sources, internal and external, where we can get the data. And before we go how to do it, I think the most important, maybe this is the most important point of all, is actually understand how text analysis can help my company, can help me to be a better professional and better and create better success. So these are just a couple of ideas, and please, all of you listening to us, you can feel free to write it in a chat or ask any question during the presentation, or put some of your ideas how you think the text analysis can help you. So a couple of ideas, of course, target audience. Of if we are targeting some tablet product for a certain group of people, whether we can see if they are making the comments, if they're putting it on the right way. We can see if there are other competitors mentioning in our comments. We'll see this in example. What is the perception of the brand? Is it positive or is it more negative? What can we do? Maybe we can adjust, make some action. Maybe we can work with an influencer to raise the awareness about the brand. Areas of concern, maybe if there's some, if we talk about tablet, for example, if there are a lot of comments regarding, screen turning off, this could be alarm. We can upgrade. Maybe it's a software issue, maybe it's hardware issue. Let's go back to our factory to see what we can do. Yes. Do you agree?
Yeah,
I'm sure you have ideas.
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas that we can actually leverage this data to target, not just to describe how we are doing it, but also prescribe how we want to do it. So the historical data that you have about your brand or your product can actually shape your future campaigns. You can decide to be a different kind of product or a different kind of brand, and you can have an informed opinion of what you need to do and how you need to present yourself so that you can actually shape how people perceive you, right? So this is very valuable when you want to switch to a different audience. If you want to target people in their 30s, but you notice that you're targeting people in their 50s, which are not the consumer technological gadgets in so much as the younger people, you can adjust your strategy. So this is not just descriptive.
Yeah, it's not descriptive. It's not only valuable. I would say this is really powerful.
Yeah.
Because it helps us to move in the direction we want, and not to to spend our resources on I think customer like the color, I think customer like the size. So this is something what we can do over thousands of tens of thousands comments, which we never can do by manually by human. We're using technology to do. So I'm really excited to see how we can do it, and what technology do we use. And I'm sure everybody who's listening this and thinking about it are already getting the ideas and are getting eager to see what we can do. But even though I want to start, I want to analyze everything. When we are preparing the webinar, you told me we need to make one step back, only one. It will be short, and it's the question. So if data is out there meaning on internet, can we use all data which is out there?
No, you are generally not allowed to use all of the data that is available on the internet just for your own purposes, right? I mean, sure, it's there, you can see it, but that does not mean you can actually use it to gain new business insights. So just because it's there does not mean that you are allowed to use it for marketing and business purposes. We often don't like to think about it because it obviously hampers our interventions, but you need to consider whether a particular web page or a review site has explicitly stated that you are not allowed to deploy external software on its web page and gather its data. So you need to read the terms of service. I know we mostly click yes and accept when we read the terms of service, but when you want to do a responsible, ethical data science, you would usually just read the terms of service and check whether you are allowed to do it. Some of the providers are not so explicit, right? So you don't get the information, no, you are not allowed to do this, and legalese is usually difficult to interpret. However, there's another way, so it's called robots.txt. Every web page has this, right? And we will show you one from a review site that does not allow the automatic gathering of data. So what happens here is you will see, and in the screen, that there is all these disallow. They even wrote us a nice message that if we are here, we should apply to work for them. So this is something you can do on your own webpage. But basically, they don't allow you to gather their data. So they write all of these disallow, etc., and you are not allowed to gather their reviews, right? We talk in data science, in Personal Intelligentsia, we really try to obtain the data legally, and we believe in ethical data science and artificial intelligence. So this is something that we usually check before we get the data.
Yeah. We always check. So for example, this is the list of all actions which are disallowed. So if I want to use, I don't know, any kind of expanded user reviews, so this is disallowed. So why we did this little, I would say, pause on the story, because we want to keep the integrity, and which is we believe so ethical, and integrity is really important for us. So always check what you're doing with it and can use it.
Yeah.
So, however, there are many ways, and a lot of data that we can use. So let's move on how to get online data.
So fortunately, we live in a world where people understand that actually the availability of data and being able to use and collect the data is something that is an extra service that they provide to the end customer, which is a business, so it's a B2B relationship. So there are a lot of APIs, which are just basically, I will not bore you with the technical details, but there's just a set of routines and protocols that enable you to build a software application, right? And in order to use it, usually you do need to apply for a specific privilege to be able to use it. You have to have a justifiable cause. And most of the sites today, such as social networks such as Twitter, or aggregators such as Amazon or Data Infolink, they will have IPAs that you can actually use. So you just need to ask them for it, and they will allow it. And what they return is basically a bunch of text, and obviously you're not going to read these strings. It's a JSON format, but this is not that much of a problem because we can very quickly and easily transfer it to data structures. So think of it like we said, is basically just sort of an Excel or a CSV file that you can get from them. And then you can use it further.
Okay, we can use it. And I know there are two different types of APIs, REST API and streaming API. What is the main difference?
So the main difference is that the REST APIs actually just send a request and get a response, right? So you go on a page, you ask them for something, and they return it to you. Whereas the streaming APIs, they just send one request and they send you events. So the duration of this request is not limited to one request, one response, but you can have one request and many responses. And a lot of social networks have both of these options. In particular, Twitter has a streaming and a REST API. So this is how you can get the data.
Okay, great. So we are now proceeding to actually the main part of the webinar today.
Yes.
So what we did so far in this introduction, we understood why we want to analyze text, why we want to analyze reviews. We find out where we can find it. We know whether we can use it or not.
Yes.
And we know now how we gather the data. So in Postman Intelligentsia, we would like always to give you, a pragmatic solution to show you and to give hands-on in this kind of webinars and demos. So we did one case, and this is what we did. So we'll go through with you. So we of course used the case with the tablet. I gave a story in the beginning, so it's a great idea for us. So first we went to Amazon. We scrapped the text using REST APIs, right? We put it in CSV files. Then we import it in our studio, which is tool we're going to show you, using for data science, for analysis. And then out of it, we create the charts, and we, in the end, gather some insight, gather some conclusions out of it. Yes. We're going to show you, I think, six charts and 6 analyses, right?
But before we do that, actually, I want to show you how actually this actually works in the back end. Yes. So we will just run very quickly. Don't get really terrified. We will be running an R code in our studio. So I'm just gonna run all of this. So we'll just run it. And what it does is basically collects the data, reads it, analyzes it, creates all these graphs for you. But what is particularly important and why we are actually showing you this is basically to show you how quickly it has analyzed over 10,000 reviews. So as you can see at the bottom of my screen, it took him only 13.5 seconds to parse and read this data. Now, if you compare this to how long it would take your employee to actually go into this data and do all of this and create all of these charts for you and prepare this for the further analysis and insights, I'm fairly sure it would not take 13 seconds, right?
13 days or something.
Maybe, it depends on how agile and quick your employees are. But basically, this is how it works. Now, obviously, you would not need to program R. There are applications that we can put it into and ways to make this more user-friendly. But my idea is basically to show you how quickly it actually works.
And so for me, for example, as a marketing manager, so I wouldn't need to open R. I would just get some application where I can run, and I would get the fresh charts, right?
Yeah, and I want to mention just one thing. So before you get an idea that this is some kind of a supercomputer that runs this, it's not. It's an office laptop, right? So we are just running it on my normal laptop. So this is not very. This does not require investment in hardware.
Okay, so this is super fast. So you get the results really fast and super powerful because there are tens of thousands of comments. So the graphs you're gonna see, you may say, okay, it's nice to see the graphs. It's interesting, but the background, how we get it. So before we get this kind of technology, before we started to work on this kind of project, it was impossible to get this kind of insight, to get sentiment, to get everything you're gonna see in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So I think it's the best to just switch back to a more understandable and clear way of presenting, so people don't stare at my art.
Let's start with the first chart.
Yeah. So basically, what we do initially, we want to obviously see how many reviews we are getting, right, and how people are reviewing our product. So what you can see here is basically that we have a specific time when people review our product. So as you can see, it's usually around Christmas, which is not illogical for this kind of product, right? Because this product is often bought as a gift for family members, for friends, for partners, etc. So we see that there are these spikes, but we also see something that is quite indicative of lower engagement, at least in 2017. We see that we actually have a halved spike, which shows us one of the two things, that people are not engaging with our product as much, And we can investigate why they are not doing this and intervene by offering some loyalty benefits if you do review a product, right? Or we could go and cross-reference with our marketing activities and sales and see if this actually reflects the fact that people bought less of this product, which would be obviously very concerning, right? So this kind of graph can just tell you these kinds of information in a very simple way. So you see how the overall engagement with your product progresses over time.
So we can see the correlation. For example, if we coordinate this with sales results, we can see if this is in correlation. Maybe we did maybe we invested a lot in marketing here, but nothing happened, for example, or we can see how things happen. So this was for, just to be clear, this is the analysis of this particular tablet we are and this is the number of reviews. So it's a beginning, so it's just number of reviews. On the next, we're going to show you much more interesting. We are going actually into the content of comments itself.
Yes, so what we do is we want to, if we are a brand that advertises in a specific way, you obviously want to know what kind of words people use with your brand, or how do they perceive it, what's the most frequent word that they use, right? What do they tell about your product? So we do this, and obviously some of the words are very logical, right? You would get tablets on the top, and price is obviously always relevant when we are buying these kinds of items. But you also get an idea of what is important to your customers. So you see here that they use positive words like easy and love, or that they mention kids. So it would seem that this particular tablet is something that is useful to give as a gift to your child. So
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
so
sure.
For example, we have this, and so these are most common words. And let's say in the top 3 or top 5, I get some word like fault, slow, battery issue, or things like this.
Yeah,
what would that mean?
That would mean that this is something that people focus really on, and this is something that hampers your brand a lot. So if people have a feature or a perception of your brand that is shaped by some faulty feature of your product or some faulty aspect of your service, if you're a service provider, then you can address this issue. And this is a very easy way to see, okay, if I market myself as a business-oriented tablet, then obviously this is really bad. But
And we can also see on this chart, not but on the next, we're going to see how these things can change over the time. I think this is also
we have a slide.
There.
We have a slide that shows us how we can leverage this further.
Great. Okay, let's see one example of a word network. What does this chart represents here?
So what we do when we do a word network, right? Imagine you are, in this case, we centralize it around our tablet, right? This is our keyword, and we want to see what correlates with it, what things actually get mentioned with this particular word. So what you want is see how strong is the connection with your, for example, if you market your product as a family product, you obviously want the connection between kids and tablet to be really strong. And
what we have actually.
Yeah, we do have this connection, but the intensity of the color and the width of the line tells you how many times these two words have occurred together in your reviews. So this can shape how you actually rebrand yourself, or how you refocus your audience on particular features. So yeah, this tells you that you get a lot of nice words like perfect, nice, but obviously in some logical words like purchase or...
The strongest link is between Kindle and tablet? How do we interpret this?
So how do we interpret this is basically Amazon marketed this particular brand of tablet as an inexpensive version of Kindle. And one of the features that they specifically mentioned that it's good for reading, because obviously Kindle is quite pricey, and they actually built it in a way that would allow people to read on it for a much lower price. And we can actually see the connection between tablet, books, and read. So we can see that they have actually achieved this. But in a way, having Kindle being strongly correlated means people are doing a lot of comparison, and Goran and I will show you how we track this over time. But before we go into this,
yeah. So also I need to ask you the question because it's obvious. So we talk about the central part, but here on the right hand side in the corner, I think many entities also maybe have what is this? Why is here it's not connected with anything?
so
how do you put it here?
basically what we did is we included the links between where the word tablet occurs, but we also showed the link between these two words, because this tablet gets purchased a lot in the United States around Black Friday. So you could actually literally shape your campaign to target two particular time points. One is Christmas, which we saw in our first graphs, and one is Black Friday, when this product gets bought a lot.
Okay,
so
I like this. So this shows a lot, shows the what is the intensity of this two words can get connected. Great. And let's see what we have prepared next. So this is during the time, right? Shrinking the word in the time. We mentioned this a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah. So what this does is basically we select, in this case, we selected 9, you can select 10, 5, 2, 1, whatever, any number of words. What this shows you is how what was the focus of the reviews. So if we have a relationship where in the beginning of our launch of a product, customers talked a lot about a specific feature, and we see that over the time they talk about it less and less. We can actually adjust how we market our product and how we actually stress what's important to our customers. So this can be very informative to show you how the perception of the public is changing over time. And this also just reads the reviews and selects these words by time frames. So
yeah, let's pick one example. So for example, let's the cost. Okay, this is interesting for me. So the cost was mentioned a lot in the beginning, but during the time it decreases. So from my point of view, maybe in the beginning it was costly or something changed within the price.
Yeah.
Maybe the other competitors, so it wasn't. So how do you see this?
Well, basically, when this showed up, it was actually really specifically marketed as a product that is very focused on cost, right? It was cheaper than the other one, right? Than Kindle and other tablets or iPads. So what people talked about how impressive was that it could cost so little. But over time, as obviously we all know that over time we got better and better phones, better and better tablets, and all kinds of readers, this became not such an interesting feature anymore. And people don't care about it because they can obviously get a whole range of tablets. So now maybe advertising it as inexpensive is not so beneficial as it was before, because people take it for granted that you can get a nice tablet for like $50, right?
Okay. What can we, for example, analyze more than one product? For example, we want to see if there's some competitor of our mentioned in our comments.
Yeah, you can do that.
This? Yeah.
So what we did is basically, because in the portfolio of Amazon, you have a Kindle and you have this particular Fire tablet. So what we did is we wanted to see on the reviews of this particular tablet, how often do people talk about Kindle, right? And see what they actually say about the Kindle, right? So what we see here in the beginning, in the review of the product in 2015, they didn't mention the tablet at all, right? And then we had a spike where Kindle was actually mentioned less and less. But what is concerning is that we have this period where they actually mention Kindle more again. So imagine,
in the end, right?
Yeah, in the end. So imagine if you are like talking about your competitor, and you have a direct competitor in the market for a particular product, and all people are talking about is the other product. Now, this can be positive or negative, but still you're giving like visibility inside of your own reviews to a specific different product, which may not be in your portfolio at all. So you want to track this, how it evolves over time, and whether you are achieving, if your goal is to disambiguate yourself from your competitor or set yourself apart. You don't want your competitor to be mentioned in your
definitely
reviews.
Don't want my competitor mentioned in my reviews.
Yeah.
So when I look at this graph, so this beginning is very I would say a bit maybe confusing. So just to get back, so these are the comments about the tablet.
Yes, correct.
With Kindle mentioning inside in those comments. So at the beginning, there was no mentioning of our actual product, but there was a lot of mentioning of Kindle in the comments for tablets.
For the
Why
tablet.
is this?
Yeah, so that's because first of all, we have to take into account that in the beginning people did not buy this as much as Kindle, and they had directly compared it to Kindle, so they did not refer to it. They did not talk about it. They just said like whether it was better or worse than Kindle. So all we could extract from the review of this product was Kindle, and we had this period of a couple of months where all of the reviews, like,
and the visibility of brand, maybe.
Yeah, so
the
correct. So in the beginning, maybe the brand was not so visible, and they just thought about it as a bad Kindle or a self-bar Kindle, right?
But during the time we did something.
Yeah.
We did some actions, advertising, marketing, and things get better until they recent so something also. So this is something which really helps marketing, for example, to say like, oh, did we do pre-marketing, pre-release marketing in the enough volume and enough intensity. So absolutely a lot of insights we can get.
Yes, but I want to mention that this is not just limited to comparing the products. It's like if you're going through rebranding and you want to rebrand yourself as a hip new company for teenagers or something, and you can obviously track words that are associated with young people or specific to words, and you can actually literally compare them. Or if you're a provider of some service and you make a huge investment into one particular aspect of your service, you want people to talk about that, right? You don't want them to talk about something that you don't invest in. So you can compare like maybe internet versus mobile phone if these are the services you offer. So it's not limited to just products.
Absolutely. And for the end, so the time is going really fast. So we have still time, but this is the last example that we are showing. This is sentiment. What is sentiment, and what do we see on this?
Sentiment is, in general, sentiment just reflects whether people are using and engaging with your product in a positive or a negative way. And we have ways to define what's positive and negative. What we usually do is we customize what's positive for one brand is negative for the other brand. So you can actually make this really specific to your industry, to your product, to your service. And what we do initially, we just extract the most positive and the most negative words that we have in the data. And what we can see here is basically overall, and we can do these aggregate statistics, but a lot of providers do aggregate statistics, so we wanted to show you really deep insights of how it actually looks like. We have a lot more positive words, so we can see that they are in the there are over 1,000 positive words associated with our product, whereas negative words are smaller in comparison, so we don't have that many negative words associated.
Which is good.
That's great. That's what you want. But basically, you can actually literally see what these words are, and we did not stem them here, so we left love and loves. But you can also do this, and I do it in R, but
So I see on the negative side, I see slow as the second one. So I don't want this for my tablet, of course. So, but I have this information, a lot of people saying, I mean, a lot, 250 mention of slow. Can I drill down to see like, okay, what is it slow on apps, on turning on, or so what would be the next step if I want to analyze a little bit more deeper?
So when you get this data, you can actually pull all of the reviews that have the word slow and analyze them further, and you can do their own parsing. So you can create a subset of your data depending on these words, and you actually look into the comments of users to see if this is a potential problem that you can easily solve. So if the slowness is not related to some inbuilt feature, but it's just about upgrading your software, you can actually invest into that so that you are not so negatively colored. So
that's really important. And also on the left-hand side on negative, I see two, I would say, like different sides. So we see cheap, the first, and expensive, the third. So we put them on the negative side.
Yes.
Why we do this?
So basically, what you will have in the American and English language is that cheap is often used when you refer to a low quality product. And expensive, we actually added as a negative word. And why we did this when we customized the dictionary is basically because this particular product is advertised as an inexpensive alternative.
Okay.
So obviously, if you are an inexpensive alternative, you don't want people to tell how it's expensive, right, for what it offers. So that's why we did this. Normally, you would not.
Yeah, if I produce luxury jewelry, for example.
Yeah, like if you're a producer of luxury goods, this would not be something that would be negative in the context of your product, of your industry, of your.
So this is not preset. This is some customized.
Yes.
It needs to be done for every project.
Some products and some industries prefer to use the
standard.
Yeah, the standard,
Okay.
the default ones. But what we do is basically we talk with our customer and we say like, okay, what is your brand? How do you advertise it? What are the negative words that you think should not be associated with your brand? And we create a dictionary based on the brand. So in this way, we can actually not be limited by just the default solutions that they provided within packages, etc. So this is what we do.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for explaining this. I think it's really valuable. And one more thing, when we are on sentiment, I know that we put a ranking, right?
Yeah. So
we want to show you as well real comments to see what is the most positive and the most negative.
Yes. So we're going back to R. Yeah. So this is what we did. And I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, for time reasons. But what we did is here we actually sorted them, and we see how many words contribute to this particular sentiment. And what you can see here is that all I can say, as soon as I open this tablet, it never ever turned on, ever.
So this is the worst comment, right?
This is the worst comment in these over 10,000 reviews. And what's really important is that he says in the end, I would never buy an Amazon product ever again. Piece of junk.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Bad quality product. And thanks, at least he's polite. But yeah, so this is how you can do this. And this is very important when we're talking about customer care, right? So if you get a lot of tickets in your company or a lot of complaints, what you can do, since it takes only 13 seconds for 10,000, you can actually run it before you start your working day. You run this program and you sort them. So you address the most negative or the most pressing matters first. So you don't need to invest time into it because you can build a custom dictionary and just run it and focus on what you think is the most pressing and urgent thing.
Yeah, the speed of solving problems with customers is essential. So if we can have a tool which can help us to, rank, it's much easier. But we have also some positive comments.
So the most positive review is actually really, really cool. It's a very concise review, but repeated for emphasis. I hope Goran and time will allow it to me to read it, and it's called awesome, 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 right? Okay. So this person is really, obviously, really enthusiastic about our product. So this is something that we can also leverage and see okay, people are positive and how positive are they and what they focus on. And you can get it in a CSV file, an Excel file, you can get it in a report.
Yeah, it is amazing how fast and how on the tip of the toes you can have it. So we were talking about the tablet, about a particular product, but there are many, and now we are going back, there are many other applications, so it's not only products, right?
So text analytics can be leveraged in services, can be leveraged in legal offices. This is actually one of the new emerging fields in text analytics because obviously law and legalese is extremely time consuming, right, to read through all of these decisions, etc. There are some companies that only hire people, paralegals, to read this stuff. If you can read it and sort it, then in legal data, this is really helpful. Another one is research institutions such as universities, which do meta-analysis. You can gather all the information and analyze it very quickly. Politicians, like you have obviously the public image and public opinion, where what happened with Corona right now, you had Reddit spreading all kinds of fake news, etc. So you can analyze this and help shape your response as a country or as a particular county. And obviously in healthcare, you can read a lot of documents and a lot of research to find the best therapy for your patient based on some criteria that you define. So this is not just limited to comparing products. It can actually be leveraged in almost all of the industries and services because the text data is everywhere, right?
Yeah, it is amazing how it can be applied in many different industries and areas of life. And I really enjoyed our conversation, but everything has its beginning and the end. So we are coming to our last slide. So thank you very much for showing us. So we've seen like why do we need text analysis, how we can get data, from where, legal. We've shown a demo. We've shown a couple of charts, analysis. So it was really great. I really hope our participants also enjoyed. So after this, so we have just a couple of more sentences. We are open to any questions and comments.
Yes.
So Ana-Marija, I will give you the honor to say the final word before we close the session.
So yeah, I have actually a long time ago, I was in America and I met a wonderful person who said a sentence that kind of shaped the way I think about the data and about just like my job and my daily life. And that's one sentence that I want you to like take with you, is that data always finds another data and the relevance finds you. So we don't do data science in the bubble. We do it with you and we do it for you, but you are a part of the entire process. So if you need some kind of a text analysis, let the data find other data. Let us handle the nasty and ugly part in R, and you can just leverage this to your purposes and for your own gains, whether they be altruistic or yeah, purely profit driven, right?
For commercial. Yeah, it was great words, and I would say like if you're ready to go to data science, to go this kind of project, we are ready to get you there. So it was a pleasure to have you on the webinar. Thank you so much, and we have 15 minutes left for the comments and your questions.
Yes, and I just want to
see if we have some questions.
I just want to invite you all to follow us on LinkedIn, to join the conversation. So please feel free.
Good. Let's have look. Do we have some questions? Yes. How long does it take for us to do a text analysis on average? So
the biggest part, actually, if I may be so bold to answer, is basically how much data you already have, right? And how much data collection, cleaning, and preparation needs to be done. So you would look into maybe a couple of weeks, months, depending on the availability of your data. And obviously, there is one caveat that we need to mention, that some languages are easier, some languages are harder. So doing text analytics on Croatian would take a lot more time than doing it on English, right? Or German or Dutch. So it depends on how much it is used. And I really applaud you all for joining this, because we need to make it sort of a discourse topic in our Croatian and Southeastern market, that we actually do need these kinds of models also for Croatian, and that we need to like leverage this to help the people actually who are working in our own market. So the time is really like we do an assessment when we are actually inside of the company.
Great. Thank you for the answer. I hope it satisfied the question. We answered it. So do we have anything else?
Okay.
So far not. Great. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Ana-Marija. It was a pleasure talking to you again. Seeing you. It was great to get back in the office after many weeks. Brilliant. So stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And I want to say, like, if you do have questions, reach out. Feel free to contact either Pascal now or me personally or Goran, and we'll be happy to address any of your concerns and questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.